Welcome to a tutorial on Windows Deployment Services. Windows Deployment Services is the updated and redesigned version of Remote Installation Services or RIDS. Windows Deployment Services or WDS enables you to deploy Windows operating systems over the network, which means you do not have to install each operating system directly from a CD or DVD. So what you're going to do is start Server Manager. Okay, and come down here and we're going to add a role. Alright, let's click next and we're going to add Windows Deployment Services. Next, next. I'm going to leave these two options checked. Click next and install. Alright. Alright. Now it is finished installing. We close here. Close this off. We'll start. Administrative tools. Windows Deployment Services. Alright. The servers. Here you have to configure our server. Right click and configure. Click next. And this remote install folder, which is going to be needing a bit later, automatically stores in the C drive. Right, next, yes. I'm going to select these two options here. Do not listen on port 87 and configure DHCP options to the client. Next, and we're going to select the respond to all known and unknown client computers. Finish. Alright, we're not going to add the images right now, so let's uncheck that and click finish. Alright, let's bring down this here. And before we get our boot images here, we want to do something. We want to mount our image file to a drive, and also want to install on our virtual machine what we call install guest additions. Alright, so first thing first, going to install guest additions. So to do is go to devices, click on install guest additions. Alright, and it comes up here. Alright, just click on that and go to the wizard. Next, I agree. Next, uninstall. Okay, this could take a little while. And ask me when I like to install software. Yes, and alright. So after installing this, I'm going to have to reboot. So let's click this here, finish, and close this off. And we're going to just have to restart our computer here. Okay, so we just installed our VirtualBox guest editions, alright? And what we're going to do now is mount our file, alright? So meantime, let's just go back to administrative tools, Windows deployment services, servers. Alright, so what we want to get is our boot image and I'll install it. Alright, so let's go mount our file. Alright, as you can see here, we have nothing in any of these drives. So what you want to do is use program to mount our file. So come here, alright, click on power. So yeah, mount image. Alright, so I can just bring this into view here. Okay, and you can just get our file, and here's our file. We're going to be deploying Windows Vista. Alright, so let's open that up. And you can see here our file has been mounted. Okay, so let's just open this here. Now what you want to do is go to sources and you want file. So here's our boot file and there's an install file. What you want to do is get this on our virtual environment. So as we come back here to our virtual environment on our server, to right click here on shared folders. Then I'm going to click add here. I'm going to get our folder path. Other. Alright, and here, so we're inside our computer. And let's just look for that mounted drive, and alright, here we go. And click OK. Put this to read only. OK. Okay, here again. Alright. Alright, so says that I was successful. Going to go here now and computer, go to network, VBox server. This is our folder here, shared folder. Go to sources. Let's search here. WIM files. Alright, so see we have our two files here. So what we're going to do is copy these two files onto our C drive. Copy. So let's see. I'm gonna put them right. Paste. Okay, so they've both been copied. Alright. So go back to Windows here, Implement Services, and right click on boot images and add boot image. You're going to browse and click desktop network. Wait, no, sorry. Go to computer, go to C, Vim, open. Click next. I'm going to give this image a name, call it Windows Vista. Alright, leave them in the description. Next. Alright, then again, let's make the auto image here. Finish. Another thing you want to put is our install image. You can see our boot image came up here. And then add, right click on install image, add, next, browse, there's, open that up, next. And this is the list, all the different types of vistas. So you don't wanna have all of these, you just wanna apply one of these. So we're going to leave Vista Ultimate and next. Right, comes up here and adding our image. Alright, our image has been added. So well, as you can see here, here's group 1, which is our image here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is going to have to install an extension for our virtual machine, because what happens is that we have to click here and machines, devices, network adapters. Right, you see the marks here Intel Pro, and what happens is that the PXE boot won't be able to happen or execute an Intel Pro without the extension. So what I'm going to do is go to virtualbox.org, and get this extension. Alright. Okay, so we have a boot image and our install image. So before we move on to our VMs, previously what I was discussing was the installation of the extension pack, which you would have had to go on to VirtualBox.org. Alright, let me just probably bring you back to the home page and show you where I went. Alright, so if you're going to what VirtualBox are running, alright, this is the latest, then you just click downloads and you see the extension pack here and click all platforms. But if you have an older version than 4.1.8, what you would do is go to older builds, which are older builds, and select any one of these. I had 4.1.4, so came here and click all platforms. See here, ask me to do, simply open it and run the installation. I've already done this. Alright, so let's cancel that and just bring back up here. What that allows us to do is execute or PXE boot, right? So another thing I would like to show y'all is, if you just go to properties here, just like to talk a little bit about these things. So basically this is what we did while we were installing on Windows deployment services, but in detail, a general section here we have our remote install folder, which is by default put in a C drive. Right now this has to be NTFS, otherwise it won't work there. Right now there's also a server mode. Right, so in case we had a RIS infrastructure, right, maybe I have a Windows 2008 machine that's not in 8008 domain. It's going to be a different mode, right? RIS is really remote installation services, right, which spoke out earlier in the video. And next we have is PXE response settings. Now by default, it's gonna say do not respond to any client computer, which if you're an organization you don't wanna have that option click there. What this does really, what this setting does is it keeps people from coming in and getting free copies of our operating system, and you can respond to only known clients after having set them up in Active Directories, or you can respond to all, which is what we did. But you have to have admin approval if it is an unknown machine. Otherwise, when you boot up the machine, I have to go in the console as administrator and give the OK. Alright, so we also have a delay here, and see if you have a primary WDS server and then you might have a secondary server, and by having delay I can say, well, I am the secondary server, and I'll just back it off here by 45 seconds. So if after 45 seconds you're still trying to get an operating system from the first, the primary WS server, I'll go ahead and allow you to install it. But if the primary gets the message, it will go ahead and install it. Have here the directory settings. Oh, sorry, just put this back here. Have here active directory settings. Now, in other words, when I go to how do I name the machine, I'm really gonna get into this. Here, below here we have client account location. And basically, this says where do I put the user account. Now you can see the same domain as the WDS server, right? Same domain as the server doing the installation, right? Or as the user doing the installation, sorry. And what is recommended is that you have a user account just to do installations. And you can have that user account based upon what OU you want them to be in. So I can have a sales user or help desk user, and then I would select this option here, same OU, not only the same domain but actual same OU, and this is a lot easier than doing each manually. Or can drop everybody in this location, on a specified location, to say I'm just gonna leave this here and go to boot options here. Now notice we have this as pxcboot.com, same with the 64-bit architecture, and what this says is that when you're just installing the operating system, it's gonna ask you to hit F12, and unless you hit F12, the operating system is not going to install. Right? What you can do is click browse and scroll along here to pxcboot.n12 and open this. What this does is it boots directly from the network and doesn't ask the user to hit F12. It goes through directly. I'll show you this a bit later, but let's just put this back to .com. Yeah. Okay. Let's move along. Client here. Now, what we can do is enable tender installation. Now we don't have the file for it, but if we have the file, paste that file here, and what it does is that you don't have to do anything really when installing the operating system. So also you can say do not create account in domain after running WDS client. Just going to leave that unchecked because I mean you would want them to join the domain. Alright. If you look at the DHCP here, alright, what this is about really, alright, if I install a DHCP server and also make it a WDS server, we're going to run into a conflict because they're both listening on the same port. So I can see don't listen on port 37 or configure DHCP. Alright, so just select both options. Alright, so come across the network settings here, and we have here multicast IP address. What multicast lets me do is I can send out an image one time, and then you can hook up into that particular image. This saves you lots of network bandwidth, right? What else do we have here? We have a UDP port range, right? These are the dynamic ports by default. It uses 64,000 up, right? Well, to 65,000 to handle packets. Right, and if we just focus the advanced, which is the last. In advanced here, so you can leave this as allow Windows deployment services to dynamically discover valid domain servers, or now this option here, let Windows deployment services use only these specified servers, right? What it's saying is that we can say we're going to use particular global catalog servers and domain controllers. This is important if we're trying to point them at certain domains, right? And below here we have DHCP authorization. These modern DHCP servers like Windows 1000, 1003, 2008 and 2008 R2, they have DHCP authorization, which means that if we have DHCP servers, we want to avoid accidentally setting up rogue DHCP servers. And if I say don't authorize it, it means if it sees a DHCP packet from an authorized server using DHCP authorized, it will stop sending out DHCP. And if I say authorize, even if it sees DHCP authorization packets, it will still act as a DHCP server. Alright, so what I'm going to show you now is the installation and the boot process here. Alright, so I'll just leave this as okay. Alright, so now what we're going to do is put our WSC test. So just going to click new here. Next, let's call this Windows Vista. Alright, next, we'll add this that allocated 20, this click a location for this here. So click next here and create. Okay, so you can see here our operating system has been created. So what you're going to do is go to settings and you're going to go to system. What you want to do is enable network here and put that to boot first. Reason being is that client will be going to a network to retrieve the operating system, and we're going to put our hard disk with second. And next thing you want to do is you're going to go to network and you're going to change adapter to bridge adapter and click advanced. Right, remember I was telling about the Intel Pro and desktop. It wouldn't work unless you install extension pack. Now we have something here called promiscuous mode, and if we leave this as deny, it is not going to work. So what is it going to do? Click on allow all and not allow VMs, right? And I'll tell you the difference between those two. So allow VMs only lets you see traffic between virtual machines. Allow all lets you see traffic between physical machines and traffic on your network, which is what we want to see, traffic on your network, because obtaining operating, we are obtaining our operating system from the network. So set that to allow all and click OK. So we're gonna power this on. Alright, click next. Now we're gonna cancel this wizard, sorry, and let it boot directly from the network. Alright, so it comes up here, press F12, and this is what I was talking about earlier. So we're gonna go back and okay, so we power off our machine here. Alright, okay, so what I want to show you now is the setting where you do not have to hit F12 to continue the installation. So we're just gonna click browse here and we're going to select pxeboot.n12 and click open here. Select that for the 64-bit as well and apply and OK. Alright, so let's go back to our Windows Vista here and I'm gonna start up and we're not gonna touch anything. Just gonna leave that to run and see here comes up. Windows is loading files and when that's finished loading, it might take a while. And for the system loading here. Okay. Alright, this is loading and here we are. So if we click next here, see enter your username in the format domain/username or username at domain.com and enter domain.com/admin administrator and password. Alright, and see here our one image tree applied, and I'm just going to click next again, and we're going to see Windows copying our files, expanding files, installing features, installing and so on. I'm going to go through all of this, and well, that's basically it for Windows deployment services. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.